We are live here at IWLEX 2024 and I'm joined here with Andre at the Stanley stand. Andre, if you'd be so kind to introduce yourself and tell us more about Stanley. I see you are wearing one of the devices already.
So we're Stanley Handling, so we're a company who's been around 75 years. Our business is all about manual handling. I'm the divisional leader for the Wearable Tech and Safety division. So what we do is look at using technology and augmentation to help people understand the ergonomics of their workplace. So really importantly, we look at how we can track that, how we can provide the customers with data to see, is what they're doing ergonomically sound? Are there hazards? If there are hazards, how can they be prevented, and how can we use data to look at preventing some of those hazards? And on the other side of that, which is kind of two sides of the same coin, we're also the only company in the UK who are independent sellers of exoskeletons, where we use AI technology to work out, first of all, the MSDs and the musculoskeletal disorders that a person may have or could have during their particular task. We then work with a team of independent ergonomists who will then look at the open market for exoskeletons and say, okay, we believe this range of product are the best for this particular task based on motion profile, range of movement, and also budget. Once we understand that, we'll usually work with the customer, we'll put an exoskeleton on the customer, and we'll measure data before and after the intervention of that product so that we get a really good idea of how that is working for the customer. But more importantly for the customer, is this a technology we should invest in? Is this something where we really need to take that investment and use it within our workforce? That's where the data doesn't lie, because you can put something on someone and they might say, well, I don't really feel this is doing anything, but the data speaks a very different story about compensation of weight, also acceleration of the body, how quickly or slowly they move within that task. And so having that data there really gives them the ability to look from an objective perspective on whether this technology is something they should look at, utilise and augment as part of their workforce.
So just from speaking to you for just a few minutes before our interview, I can see how passionate you are about what you do, and you really care about the people that are potentially investing in this technology. And as you're just speaking then, there is a lot of time invested before a potential customer might make a purchase.
Yeah, very much so. So our process is really designed to make sure that the customer gets an unbiased view of what particular products might be on the market. But more importantly, that whole process should cost around the same as a half reasonable exoskeleton, because what we don't really want to do is to have customers investing huge amounts of money and then find out the product doesn't work for them. This is no silver bullet. It's not going to solve all of their problems, but what it will do is we try to give as much data and understanding to the customer and pre-training to say, is this going to work for you, so that they have got as an informed opinion as possible whether to invest in it. And of course, it's like any new technology. It's not going to solve everything in 5 minutes. There's an implementation period. Once people have got used to it, it becomes like wearing safety boots or a high-vis or a helmet. It's just another form of PPE, but there is a serious message behind it to help people. And sometimes that's hard to get that message across to people because they don't always understand. They just think, oh, it's just some other stupid thing I've got to put on. But long term, those effects are very positive. I've had some very amazing comments over the years of people saying, wow, this has really helped me, and it's straightened me out, it makes me feel better. One guy said it makes a Friday morning feel like a Wednesday morning. In other words, he's not got to think about his back all the time. So those are the sorts of things where we can add a real positive element, but also companies are looking for last mile solutions. I can do this task, but we can't put any more automation in. So the only way of doing that is to augment humans to help them do the task more robustly and succinctly, but at the same time be able to do that without pain and ongoing problems. And that works for both, a more mature workforce and a younger workforce. The more mature people often, sadly, need to be able to do their job longer because they can't afford to retire. Or some of them don't want to. They want to go and spend, the next two years sitting with the wife or the husband, getting bored stiff. So, but for the younger people, they're a bit more clued up. So they look at things and tech and go, I can work here because they've got my health and my well-being in mind. Whereas if I go down the road for another 50p an hour, I've got to do with all that back, and my back's going to be screaming at me. And often, when I meet young people when we're trying exoskeletons, I usually ask them how old they are, and I say, okay, so you're 29. Let me show you at 49. It's a very different thing, and they don't always appreciate that. They don't understand what the consequences of doing that kind of heavy manual labour is. And it's not always the weight, it's the repetition. It's the constant repetition, the constant lack of understanding that musculoskeletally they're storing up problems for themselves. And so it's all about mitigation of risk. And we use a number of different factors to help monitor and understand the data, which is about behavioural change. And that's really what it's all about.
And I assume to get those points across and to showcase the technology, it's really good to be at a show like this where you can meet people face to face. Has that proved true for you?
It's been a great show. I think one of the things that we've all said, all the guys that work at Stanley have been on the show stand, excellent quality of people and leads. For me, it's never quantity, it's quality. And we've had some, and also we were at a show last week, so we've backed up some of that already made investment by meeting people again who can see what we're doing and are now more likely to talk to us. So yeah, I think it's been a really good show. Nice and niche, but what we needed for certain elements of our business.
Well, your passion about your product is extremely evident, and it's really captivating what you're doing here. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
And
nice to meet you again.
yeah, you too.
Okay.
Good luck.